Agricola is the Latin word for farmer. It's also the name of a German-style board game, but we're not talking about board games here. And it's also the name of a German Commodore 64 game. That game doesn't have a translation, so be prepared for lots and lots of German words.
RetroKork.
As I said in the introduction, the word Agricola means farmer in Latin. And in Agricola, published by MUS, which stands for the initials of the programmers, you portray a farmer whose ambitions are high. You see, the farmer you portray in this game starts out in the 1780s, and the king of the country that farmer lives in doesn't have any children of his own. So you can become king to be the biggest, bestest farmer in the country. Yes, you want that job as well as the other players. The drawback, of course, is that this game is in German, which makes it a little more difficult for those who are not native speakers. But I believe you can play this game as well. All you need is a little help, and maybe occasionally a bit of Google Translate to help you out. You see, the game is over when in 35 turns, 35 years, the king dies. Yes, 1 year is 1 turn in this game. So, to impress the king enough, you need to have a fully improved and extended house, earned each of the prizes for horseback racing at least once, have at least 5 hunting trophies of each animal you can hunt, and a double plus on Kuhstall, which means cow barn, Acker, which basically means farmland, and Wald, which means forest. Yes, you portray a dairy farmer who also does some regular farming. By that I mean farming vegetables and the grain. And you also have some forest, so you also hire lumberjacks. And in this game you have to deal with all 3 of these topics, plus hunting, as I mentioned, and racing horses, as well as regular horses that you need to buy. So let's start. First off, you're asked if you want to load an old save game. Now, to get the most out of this game itself, you should begin right from the start and not use a save game. The save game that comes with most copies is very, very close to the end, so you don't have the entire journey ahead of you. But still, that's why you should start out as a small farmer, or as the game calls it, a Kleinbauer. Like with Kaiser, the first screen gives you a lot of information. You get to see if the weather was dry, trocken, or wet, nass, cold, kalt, or kühl, or hot, heiß, or warm, as well as the losses in hundredweights. You also get the milk gain per cow in liters, and then the gain per morgen, A morgan is 2,500 square meters, or yeah, about more than half an acre. After you press the button, you're shown the main menu. Let's go through the entire thing. The top states the current kind of farmer you are, starting out with Kleinbauer, and it shows the year, the first year being 1789. Below that is your farmhouse that you will have to fully expand, even though unfortunately all the trees surrounding it will have to go then. Below the house you can see your sheds and silos. You start out with one of each, and it'll max out. The screen will max out at 5 of each, but of course you can have more. The 3 color-coded areas below are, from left to right, the size of your grazing plains for your cows and horses, and bulls of course, the size of your forest, and the size of your field, all in morgans. Below that you see the amount of dairy cows, racing horses, farm horses to pull plows, and breeding bulls, or mating bulls. I'm no farmer, I'm no expert on this. And below that is your yearly menu, your regular menu. Going through the options one by one, let's start with the first option, the cow barn. Here you can look at your dairy cows, your calves, your young female and male cattle, mature bulls, and breeding bulls. All of them are labeled with the amount you have as well as the price per animal. Below that is the amount of free stalls you have within the barn, the size of your grazing plains, the amount of milk, and your current financial status. And below that is the menu, where you can exit via exitus, buy, or sell. If you want to change the amount of animals of one kind you have, you choose to buy, kaufen, or sell, verkaufen. Then choose the animal and the amount to buy or sell with your joystick in port 2, similar to Kaiser. The next stop on the main menu is the forest. Here you can see the state of the forest by looking at the amount of trees on screen. The density is stated there, plus it says so on the line below the trees. Lower the value, the harder it gets for the trees to regrow. So yeah, you might want to keep it rather high. Here you can also see the amount of wood and already stored wood, both measured in cubic meters. The menu allows you to leave, chop down trees, sell wood, or go hunting. In hunting you are sent to a minigame in which you can shoot at foxes, deers, and boars. Move the crosshair around and press fire to shoot. As I mentioned before, you need to have at least 5 trophies of each animal to become king. Back in the main menu, below the forest, you can see the horse stable. Here you can see the amount of farm horses, which you need to pull the plow, and the amount of racing horses you have and the associated prices. Below that, the amount of free stalls, your farmland in morgans, and how much money you have. To till the field of 4 morgans, you need 1 farm horse. If you don't have enough farm horses for your farming, you will have to borrow them for a fee. The menu offers you the options to leave, buy, or sell. By the end of this you probably will know how it works. Now the next stop is the farmland itself. Here you can see the amount of plows you own, and if you don't own enough, if you want to till the soil, you'll have to borrow them for a fee. They're a lot like farm horses in that regard. Below those are the amounts of grain, potatoes, and turnips you have, all measured in hundredweights. It also gives you the price of 1 hundredweight, and or one plow in marks. And below those those informations you find the field size in Morgan, the amount of farm horses you have, the number of silos you own, as well as your available assets. Also in the bottom left you can see a bar showing how full the silos are right now. If you hadn't guessed already, the only new position in this menu is farming. So the menu is now exit, farm, buy and sell. In farming you set the amount of turnips, potatoes and grain you want to use your farmland for. Up next in our main menu is the office, where you can invest in real estate and buildings. The overview shows you the following: the size of your farmland, the grazing fields and the forest, and all of them of course in Morgans. Then the amount of silos you have, the number of stables, cow barns you have, as well as your house parts. It also gives you current assets. In this screen you can buy some area which in a multiplayer session are shared, so you can theoretically snatch away real estate from a competing player. The options available in the menu are leave, tear down a building, buy and sell. Next up, the horse racing track. Here you can see your own racing horses, their current strength, age, and the price to train them for another year. Just above your menu is the next race that's taking place, and its entry fee is to the left of the menu. The menu contains the following options: leave, train, and sign up. If you sign up one of your horses for a race, in between your turns you will have to go to the race. Also, your horses will age, and well, there will be a day when no training in the world will improve its status. Then you'll have to make a hard decision. The next screen you can access from the main menu is the information screen. It gives you an overview over the trophies you won in horseback races, as well as the years you got them in. Below them you see the amount of hunting trophies and for each animal, and below those you get to see the status of respectively your cow barn, your farm and your forest. A double plus is desired since it's a requirement to become king. By pressing fire you just return to the main menu. So the last thing on the screen is Exodus, which by keeping the button pressed for longer ends your turn. You then see your year's expenses for feed, personnel, horse training, etc. Below that is the amount of money you made from milk this year. If your account goes into the red, well, interest is to be paid as well. Below those informations are the changes in your livestock. If for any reason you have to sell off animals in an emergency, those sales appear in the leftmost column, next to the animal names. Then the animals you started the year with, and then the number of animals you end the year with. This is important because animals, like all living creatures, die. There may also be additional screens where you get to see additional information in case you had to borrow horses, plows, or anything else happened. They are a bit too manifold to be translated here, so that's probably when you're going to go for Google Translate. Anyway, after that, you have to decide whether or not you go to the races. As I mentioned earlier, if you have a horse participating in the race, attending is mandatory. At the betting office, you can bet money on one of the horses, up to 10,000 marks. You only bet on victory though, so second or third place, they don't gain you anything. After the betting process, you see the race itself. And when the race is over, you get to see how close you are to getting to the crown in what the creator himself calls a race for the crown. And after that, it's basically kind of back to square one. Now, as I said, this game is multiplayer. And up to 4 players can try to become the next king, everyone taking a turn before the race, obviously. To make the game a little bit easier for you, here are a few bits and pieces of information that I've found on the game's creator's website. You can cram up to 20 animals into a barn. A mating bull is capable of impregnating 20 cows in a year, and they cannot be bred. They only can be bought. Calves don't need a stall of their own, they share it with their mother. The density of your forest shouldn't go under 85%, so that you can quickly regrow trees that you had chopped down. And that's Agricola. It's not like the board game, but it's a game. It was also given away for free, yet the creators still like to see money. Who wouldn't? And the mailing address given was still good, at least in 2011. One of the creators, the one where I got the information from, now is a graduated computer scientist. If that's not a good sign, I don't know what is. In 2 weeks I will participate in some games. Not just any old games, but world games.